Do you want to know why I'm down here again? It is because today's a special episode of good content. Woo! I'm so happy to finally tell you, after months of saying I do it, well, not months. It's been like a month, but basically after months of telling you I was going to watch Baki soon. I was going to watch Baki. I finally did it. And as evidence, I can show you. I just knocked over an action figure on my display. But right here, you can see all the new action figures I have gotten because of my new job. I know there's a hole in my shirt. I can fix it. I just don't care to. Now, because of my new job, I was able to finally renew my Netflix subscription, which sadly, like the Monday before the new season of Baki came out, not the new season, which is coming out next week, but the Pickle arc, the Monday before, Netflix decided to try and renew my subscription. Of course, I had no money, but now I had finally watched Baki. I finally got paid last week. I'm supposed to get paid this weekend, but I don't work. Finally, after 3 weeks, I finally have a week off to myself. And it's gonna feel so good, especially with all these guys with me. So Monday, I'm gonna get my second paycheck ever. I'm so excited. Actually, speaking of that, sorry, ad. Speaking of, I was looking for, I got all my boxes here. I haven't put them away. That's where I put them. I have tried looking for a Storm Collectibles Baki. I'm going to talk about this, but my laptop's about to die. I have started looking for a Storm Collectibles Baki, but of course, he's all sold out now. That's why I wanted to order him when I still had the chance. But of course, I couldn't because I had no money when his pre-order went up. I mean, his pre-order finally, or his release finally came up. I had no money, so I couldn't because for some reason the pre-order I did only took a deposit. Of course, I lost it, but whatever. It looks like apparently pre-orders mean you have to pay when it's released, which sucks because I want to pre-order a lot more stuff. But I've been trying to look for a Storm Collectibles Baki. I did find one on Amazon that I think is reliable, but my plan was to try and get my paycheck today. Did not work, so I just went on a shopping spree because I went to check and I had a lot more money than I thought. So lucky me. So yeah. So that's my update on Storm Collectibles Baki. So hopefully by my birthday, around my birthday, in 2 weeks, I will be getting a Storm Collectibles Baki. So I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna put in my pre-order for you, Jiro, probably this Monday, because again, pre-orders, they don't take your money right away. So I'm fine. I'll be able to keep this job for like years. So I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be a little good guy and actually have that pre-order ready. So good for me. So okay, now the Pickle arc. This one had people excited. I actually heard excitement from everyone. They're saying they were so hyped for this season. But if you actually have been caught up with my channel, which also means you know that all my videos have some sort of spoilers in them, so they should be related to the topic specifically. So you shouldn't be watching out for like, I don't know, an indie film from the 60s. So you'll be fine. you know that I have been skeptical of the season as soon as we got our first look at it with the first trailer. Because the amount of time they took to produce this and the amount of content I thought they were going to do seemed impossible. They took less than 2 years, just short of 2 years, to produce this season. I know they probably started it as soon as they finished with the last season before Pickle Arc, but the sheer amount of time and content they were going to produce seemed insane to me. Because if I'm correct, and I remember correctly, the Pickle Arc is the longest arc in Baki, which is saying something. If you've been looking at my Instagram stories, you know Baki's been around since 1991. So this is a very long-running series. So a single arc being the longest is something. So, of course, with that, giving context to my suspicions, and the fact that some of the animation looked a bit stiff to me, especially compared to the last one. The last season was absolutely fantastic! Another ad. I was clearly skeptical, so I waited until I could sing its praises, and yeah, it's still Baki. It's still fantastic. I still love it. I still love it with all my heart. But especially compared to the last season, well, not especially. When it's compared to the last season, you can tell they left out some bits and they dumbed it down a bit just so they can make the deadline, I think. Because I don't know specifically, and I know Netflix has a horrible reason with a horrible track record with their animation, especially anime, Seven Deadly Sins. I'm sure there were some sort of problems with the production. By the way, I do stand. I'm gonna keep saying this for every episode of good content I'm doing until the standards have been met. I do stand with all of the strikes going on at the moment. People deserve the money they're owed when they're done fantastic work. So please just be patient. Your good content's going to come soon. But until then, I'm gonna still do my thing within their guidelines, which I think this is. So yeah, let's get back to talking about the anime. The Pickle arc is honestly about pickle. What kind? Well, the name refers to so in Baki, apparently, for a lot of information changes due to like translation things. I'm not sure, but they said the oldest pickle is well, he's not the oldest he is, but more of the human species he comes from. The oldest pickle, or the oldest humans have been around for 100 million years, which puts it around the dawn of life on Earth. Or not the dawn of life on Earth, but the dawn of like terrestrial life on Earth, if I remember correctly. So that's crazy. So in Baki, in the universe of Baki, humans have been around since the dawn of terrestrial life. And that's what Pickle is. He's a prehistoric human who lived with the dinosaurs during the mass extinction event 265 million years ago. Apparently people have started saying 266. I'm not sure if that's actually correct, but whatever. So yes, Pickle is a dinosaur hunting human. Right at the end of the dinosaurs, era. So that's where he gets his name. He was preserved during a fight with a T-Rex in a basin of salt that was preserved and like stuck underneath the earth. That was okay. We'll get to the reason he got out, but that's what Pickle is. He's a prehistoric man that fought and ate dinosaurs for a living, because he's that strong. All right. So yeah, that's basically it for this story. Or like in the anime, a prehistoric man who fought dinosaurs is revived, and everyone in Baki wants to fight him, and only certain few people do. One of them later on is actually another revived ancient human. If you know, wink, 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 wink. So yeah. Alright, let's get to the actual story. So, Pickle is exhumed from a salt basin fighting a T-Rex. But sadly, the T-Rex itself is too damaged to be revived. And that's what exactly they do with Pickle. That's also another way they add to his name. They revive him by basically kind of pickling him in some like sort of amniotic fluid and a little cylinder like thing where they mimic the sort of like temperatures and whatever and the movement and the sounds of his time to sort of revive his cells like they have done with sort of ancient okay, it's actually silent. Ancient amoebas and single-celled organisms that we have found in similar situations. Especially recently. We have recently actually done that with, I think, worms? A worm? We have revived thousands of years old organic beings that were trapped in water and ice and like rocks. So it has, like I've been saying, I'm the Baki advocate that says Baki is extremely realistic, if not a lot exaggerated. It has a scientific basis to it that very little anime actually do. Besides the, swallowed some air. That one anime about the people being frozen in rock, like magically, but the first guy to be revived is a super scientist where he's able to science everything together and revive the rest of humanity with all the trials and tribulations with it. Besides that anime specifically, Baki has a very extremely scientific background to it that I appreciate and not much other people do because they only see the exaggerations. So yeah, so Pickle has been revived, and it's like from the first thing he does, or honestly shows off his extreme strength. And this is a little theory I have, and I know a lot of other people do, but Pickle, when it comes to sheer strength alone, is stronger than Yujiro. I mean, he said it himself when he had the fist pushing match with Pickle when they first met, or the only time they really met, because I don't think they've actually like hang out, because Pickle, having lived long before language has solidified. Actually, we do see some things of his background. It does seem they could communicate, because he does that when he's first revived with the scientist that revived him. There was a whole team, but there was like a main one, and it's not Mr. Payne if you've actually watched it, or the Albert Einstein looking guy. He does try to communicate in some way, but it's mostly like screams and grunts with extreme facial expressions. So there is some of that. And we do see, I think there's one point where we do actually see the group of his people. They do have a sort of civilization going on. They have practices and what have you. Like, they actually do pray. What? To what? How? Or is it just like a solitary this? Because I know praying can be that. But okay, so besides that, he can't actually like full on communicate with us. There is a chance he can't even be able to talk, because I'm pretty sure at this point his vocal cords aren't fully developed. So that's just some speculative biology on my part, because he's quite the strange specimen. But whatever. Okay, so he's revived. He shows off his extreme strength that, honestly, can we all agree that is beyond Yujiro? But Yujiro has techniques that can sort of overshadow Pickle's strength in some way. So he may be stronger because of the techniques. He's not the strongest when it comes to pure strength, alright? So, yeah. So they try and contain him, but nothing works. None of the army equipment or actual armies actually help. So Stridum, if you remember him, he comes in, strips down, and tries to like communicate with Pickle by sitting there and being like, he actually has the best face. It's so kind and gentle. I love it. So he's like, he does talk and like, I'm like with you. Tell me your story. And Pickle actually does. Of course, he doesn't say anything. He more or less just sort of like gestures a lot. Though we don't actually see it. They pan away. So they contain Pickle. They set up a base for him after a month. And he is brought there. So now that this is also after him raping the reporter. That's also a thing. I'm not. Well, I can't really go into the detail, but a trigger warning in this specific season. In the second episode, there is a rape scene with Pickle and a female reporter. I'm pretty sure this is the second one in the series. This is not the right time. This is the second one in the series. It does happen a few times. I won't try and sort of make excuses. Like, after the first time, like within story, it makes sense in some way. But after that, it gets obscene, honestly, with the rape scenes. So be careful. Unlike Berserk, these are really inexcusable all the way, besides the first one, in which Jack is created, if you didn't know. So yeah. Okay, so besides that, we are now introduced to Pickle in his little holding cage. And by this time, everyone obviously knows he exists, and all the fighters, or at least all the really main ones, they all go to him except Baki. They go to him, they sneak in, and they break in, and they all need him. And the only main interaction, besides all the fighters meeting up and being like, haha, hey, hi, I know you. Yujiro comes in, smashes his face through the glass door, and he does the fist push thing, where we get the statement, he made me use a little trick on him, the little bastard. Those are exact quotes, because I memorized it, because I tend to do. So after this, the army comes in and they're like, hey, you gotta leave Yujiro, because he's the only one that gets called out, because he's Yujiro Hanma. No one's gonna contain him. So they were gonna go arrest the other ones. Yujiro was like, alright, fine, I'll leave as long as you take the other guys and leave them be. Take them away. Just don't arrest them. So they all leave. And so this is where we focus on Retsu, because this is sort of his part of the arc. Because I know Retsu has sort of had a side arc. Not really a side arc, but like a side focus throughout the series. And this is where it really gets intense. So Retsu gets a focus where he's the first one to really get obsessed with Pickle, and he really wants to fight him. So he's like showing off his martial arts, and then Baki comes and meets him, and they talk for a bit, and Baki's like, please train me, I want to fight you. He full on bows down all the way, and he's like saying that, and Retsu's like, no, I want to fight Pickle and only Pickle right now. So he does that more excitedly of course. But it's 11:57, by the way. I wanted to make that clear, so you know I'm filming this on a Friday. Don't know why, just thought it'd be cool. So yeah. So he goes to fight Pickle. He makes a deal with Tokugawa. He owns an underground arena under Tokyo Dome, where it has an underground fighting circuit between fighters with no weight class, no nothing. The only rule is you can't have a weapon. You can do whatever you want. That's the sort of the main area where Baki series happens. So, Retsu was like, alright, we all know Pickle has had some trouble eating because he ate dinosaurs. He hunted dinosaurs, and nothing really sort of comes close to that besides a Bengal or a Siberian tiger. So I want to fight him. Let me be the food. And Tokugawa was like, okay, you got it. So now this is when the Retsu Pickle fight happens. It's good. It's typical Baki fight, except I completely understand why. I think it'd just be really cool for it to be completely animated is when he does the windmill punch. Especially since there's no there's no difference between his arms, so it just kind of looks like he's doing this when he's doing this, you know? I thought it'd be a cool little touch, you know? Give it a week, fully animate his arms going like that. Because after he makes impact with Pickle, he actually does this. They actually fully animate him like doing individual hammer fists and like actual punches too. So missed opportunity, because that's a really impactful moment. That's the first time we've seen Retsu ever throw away his skills and try and just beat up someone for the hell of it. We have seen his master do it, which that's also a theory, because it's not really clear that he's just throwing caution to the wind and just trying to beat the shit out of Yujiro. So that's a little theory of mine. I don't think I've covered that season. Well, I think I have, but I haven't really. That wasn't really a theory of mine until like a year or two ago. So yeah. Of course, sadly, Retsu does lose, and he has a couple chunks taken out of his left shoulder and his right leg. Sorry for hairy leg. Trigger warning, I guess. Basically, from here down, completely gone. Pickle ate it entirely. So yeah, that happens. And while in the hospital recovering, Baki comes in, and he is basically like, he has flowers, he crushes them up into a perfume and just taps his cheeks, because, excuse me, happy midnight, by the way. It's not New Year's, it's just, you know, nice little treat for you. So yeah, apparently he found out what Hanayama did when his mom came to celebrate his birthday while he was in prison. It's a whole thing in his side manga, because that's what Hanayama has, a side manga. He had a side manga where it sort of showed off his like daily stuff he does, which is mainly fighting. But at one point he was in prison, and for his birthday, his inmates broke him out of jail, which was really easy because he's Hanayama. Everyone in this, most fighters in this universe can break up his prison easily. There's like no point. So yeah, they broke him out, and Hanayama got to celebrate his birthday with all of his men and his Yakuza gang. and his dying mom, who soon sadly passed away. And during that, he did the perfume thing with the flowers. So Baki replicates that. He found out he found that out, and so he did that with Retsu, and he's like, I'm gonna avenge you, or whatever. He's basically said, I'm gonna fight Pickle next, so you don't have to worry. So after this, Pickle gets out. I don't know how, but actually, okay. I'm gonna get close right now. I know I'm really sweaty. My fan broke, but it's getting colder now. There wasn't a lot I noticed. I think this is now the perfect time to talk about the retcons and the stuff they cut out of the manga for a better, like, a tighter anime. Because they did cut a lot out, I think. I don't know exactly. I haven't memorized the manga. I just know there's a lot left out. And specifically when it comes to retcons, for some reason, even though at this point in the manga, Pickle had nothing on. He was completely naked besides the airport scene. I'm just going to call it that from now on. But if you know, you know. Because I don't want to say that word anymore. It's uncomfortable. Besides that, from at this point up until when Pickle gets out, he has been completely naked. Because clothes have not been invented yet. So, obviously, he's not going to immediately jump into clothes and be like, haha, yes, this is totally natural to me. Or any human for that matter. If you are a follower on my my Twitter, you know I'm not the biggest fan of clothing. But for Pickle specifically, he has never worn clothing as far as we know. So him immediately having his underwear in this fight, and once he escapes, he suddenly, like, kidnaps a guy, beats him up, and takes his clothes and wears them like it's nothing. It's a bit weird. I mean, it's funny for him escaping and stealing some guy's clothes. But I don't get the retcon. There's, like, two images in a single, like, frame where he gets kicked in the legs and dropped down to his ass by Retsu. I get why that'd be hard to just completely black out everything, alright? You don't want to show hanging dong in your anime, even though it's already M. This is also an adult anime, by the way. I should probably clarify that. No kids can watch this, but if you're watching this far, you're probably already ruined anyway. So yeah, that's my little nitpick when it comes to this retcon. Pickle wearing his little underwear thing. I know there's probably a specific name to it, but whatever. Anyway, so I find that's a weird retcon. They could have just censored everything. But again, I think it's more of a time thing, right? I mean, if you really want to get into it, time-wise, it'd be easier to just animate like a smooth thing, or just have a smooth thing in between his legs, or like his ass crack. Because that's a thing, by the way. If you don't know anything about anatomy, most humans, if you just stare at their legs, okay, it's probably like easier to be like this. If you stare at their legs from straight on, head forward, you can see their ass crack right there. Like the hanging of their cheeks in between their legs. So that's a little anatomy lesson from an artist, by the way. You should check out my Instagram. So yeah, they could have just had a smooth thing, and they could have colored the area black, but no. Or it could have been even easier. All right, they could have just had 2 points or whatever, and they could have just had a black like fuzzy spot. That would have been a lot easier than drawing several extra lines for underwear. But whatever, it's a retcon, so whatever. It doesn't really matter to anyone else. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Pickle got out. He stole a fighter's clothes, by the way. They made it very clear that this guy is a fighter. So he stole this fighter's clothes, probably killed him. And he started walking around like a normal guy, even though he's 9 feet tall. Also, I want to talk about it. The first, 2 times they mentioned Pickle's height, they said he was over 6.5 feet tall. Or just a little over 6.5 feet tall. It's stupid. Pickle's, over 9 feet tall, alright? He's like the 3rd tallest character in the entire series. It upsets me, because I'm close to 6.5 feet tall. You think I would be triple Baki's height? No, that's not how that works. Anyway. So yeah. It's a little inconsistent, because he definitely has an official height out there. And there's a lot of, math people. If you've been in the fandom for a bit, like I haven't even dug deep into the fandom, because I can't. Most of the Baki fandom are non-English speakers. So it's a little hard for me to, dig deep into this fandom. But yet, I've seen the image where some guy pixel measured Yujiro's dong to see how big it is. I don't remember exactly how big it is, but it's big. So honestly, from that, you know people like to pixel measure all the Baki characters, even though it's a bit redundant because the heights vary in the manga for exaggeration. Because I like that. I like when you exaggerate things, but it can be a bit hard to get things exact. So yeah. Anyway, besides that, while Pickle's out, he gets stopped by the Shinshinkai karate members because Katsumi, he now runs the karate dojo, or the whole thing, because it's a franchise kinda in Japan. He's like, uh-oh, Retsu, who was sort of a teacher there, he's like, oh no, our teacher got attacked and was eaten by Pickle. Let's go defend his honor. And then once we capture him, I'll fight him. I'm strong. So yeah, the Shinshinkai members get to him, and then Hanayama shows up because Baki wants to get Pickle and bring him back to the underground dojo or the underground arena. But Hanayama and Pickle have a pushing match where Pickle's like, oh, this guy's as strong as the Triceratops, which probably isn't a real dinosaur if you haven't been caught up. So yeah, they have that. Baki comes in. Him and Pickle do the fist thing. Pickle actually learned Aikido from Yujiro because he did the trick. His trick was making Pickle spin with Aikido, which, by the way, that's not what Aikido does. I've said on Baki before, on my Baki videos, that's not what Aikido does. Aikido uses the joints and muscles of a person to joint lock them. It's mainly joint locks and throws. It's more like judo than magic. So when it comes to specifically the technique Aiki, where you just magically fling someone or push them to the ground with no effort, does not exist in the slightest. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're an idiot or a fraud. Alright? I will fight them any day and make sure they never say that again. I am being dead serious. Alright, so apparently Pickle learned Aikido from Yujiro and used it on Baki, which is a bit funny, because Pickle, I know mainly the Pickle arc was just sort of a fun thing to do before the father-son arc, but the father-son fight arc. But there's also a story implication where Pickle is supposed to be like an over-exaggeration of Yujiro in a bit, so Baki's like gets a taste of what Yujiro is supposed to be, like this beyond humanly strong person who can just destroy you with even a flick of the finger. So yeah, that's a bit of a story reason why this happens between the last arc where Baki finally becomes worthy to fight Yujiro, and he finally gets to fight Yujiro, but whatever. Of course, that means, you know, learned technique, so you know what I mean. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, after that, Baki's Hanma blood kicks in, and he kicks Pickle, and Pickle's like, alright, cool, you're a fighter too, let's go to the arena. So, him and Hanayama go there. They talk a bit like, oh, you want to fight? Let's fight. And then Hanayama... Hanayama was like, no, you probably shouldn't fight. He doesn't... Whatever, I don't know. Like, he actually says stuff along those lines. But then Pickle suddenly kicks Baki into the stands because it's an underground arena. So it has, like, flights and flights of chairs. So then we see the famous Pickle dance. The dance of victory. So yeah. They get Baki out of there before, you know, he's eaten. And then, this is when they set up Katsumi Dopporochi's son, fighting Pickle. We get back. We've already known that he was adopted, especially since we see Orochi has nothing down there, or at least he doesn't feel anything down there. Because there's another side manga. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it, alright? If you understand the lore, you know what I was about to say. So yeah. So we learn that actually Katsumi was a circus, he was a circus kid. His parents owned a circus. He did these crazy feats of strength. He was a gymnast, whatever. And then his dad suddenly dies in the middle of a show. And Orochi was there. He was so impressed by Katsumi that he went up to the grieving mother. Is like, I'm so sorry. Take my money. Let me adopt your son. And she was like, all right, yeah, okay. And then he adopted him and made him one of the best karate practitioners in the world. So that's a little fun lore for Katsumi. So then we get the fight. After Katsumi learns of a new technique. He's been known to have a technique where it's called the mock fists, where he just punches someone really hard. But he learned a way to upgrade it where he can actually go at Mach speed by basically turning his body into a whip, but also doing punches and stuff. But so yeah, he learned that, he mastered it, he went beyond it. So yeah, stand still. Okay, so he fights Pickle, and he's the second worst defeat. He loses his entire right arm, and he breaks all of his hands and feet from, the Mach fist, because no human body can withstand Mach forces, let alone, okay, whatever. I'm not going to make that point, because it's kind of stupid, but whatever. Now, we get the next fight, where it's Jack and Pickle, the person who's actually most like Pickle, not besides Yujiro. Jack is actually the most like Pickle. So I'm gonna speed through it because we're already at 40 minutes already, or close to it by your standard, because I actually cut off some extra bits at the front and end of these video recordings. So yeah. Jack fights Pickle. He loses the skin on his lower face. That's why he has those scars, and later parts of the anime or the manga, if you know, and if you've also seen my TikTok about him. I should be posting it in a couple days. The TikTok of Jack. Actually, I might have already done it. I don't remember exactly. So he fights Pickle. He loses half his face, and then he gets absolutely destroyed 2 times. The first time he loses his face and gets punched, and he breaks his entire face. And then he loses again, but they actually make it to the outside, and Pickle destroys him out there, and then carries him daintily up a building like King Kong, because of course you gotta make a reference with a caveman. Why wouldn't you? Even though it could be seen. I mean, it probably definitely is insensitive, even though Pickle isn't like an actual real human based off of real human society, but whatever. So yeah. He carries up the building like King Kong, and he ties him to a pole so he could be a snack later, because that's what all Jack was to him. So yeah. And then now we get to the ending fight with Baki and Pickle. Or Baki and Pickle. Sorry. Something feels wrong. I don't know why. Anyway, not with the video, but with my room. It feels weirdly dark. So yeah. Anyway, we finally get to the Pickle and Baki arc, where to make sure no one else fights him, because over the course of all this, at first he didn't care at all. He just wanted to keep fighting the fighters he knew, not because of some sort of ignorance or a hatred, but more of a, I'm going to focus on myself, and, I just want to talk to my friends and all that. Why should I care about a new fighter that's probably the strongest fighter in the entire series? Which is weird coming from Baki, but he's focused on him fighting Yujiro. So, anyway, so he's just sitting there in the arena with Pickle. They eat some T-Rex meat, raw, by the way. Which I want to make a little statement. I hate that we can't eat raw meat. I'm not going to be one of those people who eats raw meat anyway. I'm not that stupid. It's really unhealthy and quite literally dangerous to your health. You can die. You will likely die from eating raw meat. So don't do it. But I wish I could do it. I just want to feel like an animal. Just, what a good steak. I just want to do that. I just want to be less human. That's a little me thing. So let's move on. So yeah, after that, Pickle's full. That means he doesn't want to fight and eat someone. So Baki's like, all right, that's enough. Let me disrespect him by patting him on the face gently. And then the fight starts. Of course, we see Baki's imagination fighting style. We haven't seen him use it offensively. But also, there's no scientific base for this. It's just a Baki thing, This is the only thing you can say Baki reference with other manga, in case there's some thing like that out there. So anyway, so that's a sort of notable part. We see, and the only other notable thing is we see Pickle's final form, where he rearranges joints to make them more advantageous to him fighting, I guess. Where he basically just hunches like this. He makes his arm more like posed to fighting by doing this. He lifts his hips up forward, so he's like this. If I was standing up, I'd show you actually, but if you've seen the anime, you would know. It's basically, from what I know about fighting, it actually has some basis, like protecting his head and neck vitals and everything. Just making his arms like this, like a praying mantis, to be more advantageous to hitting. It's actually pretty smart. No wonder he could do it. I wonder what made him be able to do that, or made him want to do that. But so yeah, besides that, and Pickle being so scared of losing, because he's only known winning and being the strongest. So him potentially losing to Baki made him use Aikido again. And this is after Baki has sustained dangerous amounts of damage. Even though right after the fight ends, he leaves the hospital or the little emergency room he was in the underground arena and goes to meet Pickle on top of a building. Just to stargaze and imagine what the Jurassic, was it? That was the last age of the dinosaurs. So Baki's already completely destroyed, basically. He uses that, throws Baki to the ground, and then just sits. And he's like, I don't want to fight anymore. So yeah, that's the end of that fight. The main fight. Also, here's a little praise for the animation. I actually love that they got I'm not sure of his name, but they have this animator that has a very unique style. It's sort of like that one guy who does One Piece, or he is an animator for One Piece. He did the fight with that Brontosaurus guy. He did the fight with Queen, where he's in a brontosaurus form, and he's like, it's really like curved. It's like lumpy. It's like that, but instead of lumps, it's like angular, and there's like certain it's a 2 ad, and the first one's it's unskippable. Anyway, so yeah, the style is really angular, and there's like black squares throughout it, so it's really distinct. They got him to animate Baki and Pickle going like really fast between like the arena, around the arena. I like that a lot, even though when we see Baki just attacking Pickle in one shot while they're going, they did like a still image for each attack, which was a bit upsetting. They should have really gone all out. I mean, even though it was just, that's like my one nitpick of the scene. I'm sorry I'm being so critical. I love Baki. I know it could have been better had they just focused on the Pickle arc instead of adding the father-son arc to the production. So yeah, I wish they pushed that off for another 2 years. Or 1 year, based on how fast they animated both of them and them looking good. Though the father-son arc we have yet to say if it looks as good as this one. Because from what I've seen, this is probably the best of the two. But we'll get to that next Friday, because we will. So yeah. And that's the end of this arc, basically. Besides one thing. Yujiro and the new president, even though... Okay, here's a little nitpick. The entire series of Baki takes place to the span over 7 years. And at this point, it has been 5 years. And we didn't even really see the 3 of those. Baki was going through America learning or fighting the best of the best. Or any fighter, actually. So yeah, the span at which the series takes place is really short. Okay, so besides that, what I mean to say is that the fact we've seen all of the presidents from George W. Bush to fucking Joe Biden and Baki is crazy. So that's a little nitpick when it comes to timeline wise. Unless in this universe, the presidency is only like 2 years at most, or at all. So yeah. We see the whatever. We see the meeting between Yujiro and Barack Obama. He does the little, like, the thing where he's like, we the American people will not harm you in any way, and you will not harm us. Please, we don't want that. We know you can take us all out. So he does that. It's sort of a little truce between him and Yujiro, or all of America and Yujiro, and Barack Obama is probably the only president to do this. He's like, I have one request. Can you turn this piece of coal into diamond with your very, very strong fists? And Yujiro's like, on the glass table. He's cutting it in half. Like hell I can. And just, he broke it. Which, by the way, we do see later in the series, a character can do this. If you know, you know. So, anyway, so that's it. That's Baki, Son of Ogre Season 2. And it's great. It's great. I'm being too nitpicky. It is great. Especially the lighting. I can't believe I forgot to mention. The lighting is so good. It's even better than last season, which, you know, last season wasn't that remarkable, but this season is so good with the lighting. I'm hitting my leg. So yeah, it's great. Please go see it. It's on Netflix. Of course, if you don't want to support Netflix right now, that's fine as well. I'm sure you can pirate it somewhere. I don't know how to. And I don't want to search it up because it'd be boring. But anyway, so yeah, that's it. And I'll be talking about Baki next week again. And probably the next week, I'll be talking about Baki again, hopefully. Anyway, so yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye!